My name is Confiance Okito. I'm a final year student. I'm doing international relations and diplomacy. So today I would like to discuss, to have an open discussion with Dr. Professor Pamela Machakanda on the adoption of an artificial intelligence in Africa. So today I would like to discuss on the decolonizing artificial intelligence, shifting power dynamic in digital development. So we're going to explore how historically colonial legacy continue to impact development in Africa and the adoption of artificial intelligence to Africa and other regions. So first of all, before we start, we have some key elements of this topic. I'd like to talk about intelligence artificial. I hope all of us we know that intelligence artificial is just the assimilation of intelligent human to a machine to perform as a human being. As the colonial legacy, we know all that it was characterized by workforce, higher exploitation of African natural resources. It was certain that it was dehumanizing African, dismembering African, is about all that. And when we are talking about digital development, we can talk about the innovation that is taking place in Africa and other regions. We can talk about, as we can say, we do have so many platforms. We can talk about WhatsApp, Facebook, so on, and even the use of those machines replacing human being. We can talk about we can talk about even the use of ATM at the bank, the use of emails, so on. So I would like to introduce you, Dr. Pamela, the one we're gonna share ideas on the adoption of intelligence artificial. Is it benefit to African country or there is negative effect on the African country?
Okay, thank you very much. This is a very interesting topic, but to understand this topic, I would appreciate if you go back to history, because you need to understand the dynamics and the typology of colonial history, and to see how it was framed in such a way that we can look at four domains. It was framed as a way of harnessing power on the people of the continent of Africa, to take away their power. So power and power dynamics was very essential in capturing the whatever other systems might come into being. Once they dominated the power structures through the scramble of Africa and the division of Africa according to their own interests, then the Eurocentric frameworks of understanding about capturing the various peoples, indigenous peoples of Africa, was realized. And the second aspect was to look at the education system. So they also had to capture the education system. So because education is the power, education is the framework of understanding where you are today, where you are coming from, and where you will be going tomorrow. So they brought in colonial education, which made sure that the Africans were subservient to the masters who had already been structured within the power structures. Then the third element, the third dynamic, was that of governance. Governance and power are also related. So they had to structure the pillars of power, the systems of power, that no African would be in the governance pillars in the echelon of Africa. Either you were just an administrator, a paper pusher, or a messenger. So that is where decision making was captured by the colonialists. The other element was to remove us from our cultural systems so that we divorce ourselves from understanding who we are. That's why you find that even up to today, you begin to appreciate what comes from outside rather than from within. We always say Africa is endowed with natural resources, whether it is from minerals, whether it is from timber, whether it is from the food that we consume, from the clothes that we wear. So that was divorced from us. So we never began to appreciate who we are. Even the way we looked, we shunned to be black. I don't believe in the word black because if you look at me, I'm not as black. Mm-hmm. So this, binary element of black and white is a colonial, adage that we really need to rub off or erase in our memory as Africans, because either we are brownish or blended. We are just human. Yeah, there's no way of demarcating people by color. That is a racist system that was also enshrined. So the lighter you wear, the better it is. That's why you find that even today, many Africans, especially women, want to bleach their skins so that they can emulate the Eurocentric identity. Mm-hmm. They want to straighten their kinky hair so that they emulate the flowing hair. And by doing that, it brings about a lot of challenges, diseases, cancerous diseases, and you are not even knowing what you are putting on your face and what is happening to your face. So those aspects were to erase your cultural elements. You no longer appreciate even the way you dress. You no longer appreciate the food that we eat, which were very healthy. Today people are trying to go back to that historical element, but there's a lot of resistance within those particular aspects. So that's the framework of understanding. And we didn't even own anything, even in terms of the books that were written from the perspective of the outsider, not the perspective of the insider. Anything about the insider was seen to be bad and satanic if it is going to spiritual and not worthy of knowing. So that's how knowledge was framed within those particular aspects. So we need to understand those dynamics and the concept of colonial power and how it framed our understanding of who we are, capturing our knowledge and where we are today. That's why you begin to see that there are now discourses of decolonialization of the mind. And you need to read about Professor Fanon and so many others. MBT has written from the cultural spiritual element of how we need to decolonize our minds to come into it. Now coming to the element that you have brought in, another strand that was permeating within the colonial systems of power was to bring the divide and rule, so that we begin to fight each other. So inequalities, men and women first and foremost. So if men were working, they had to work for the master. And whilst working, you were not allowed even to bring your spouse or your daughter. You needed a pass to see that in your own land. So, and you were called a foreigner in your own land. So all these aspects are nuances that we really need to understand and unpack before we even go to artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence is how, as you rightly say, how we package the knowledge system and how we disseminate that information. But the key question, the central question of it is who owns that? Who is the creator of that knowledge? If we are not creators of social media, if we are not creators of Twitter, if we are not creators of, Facebook, then already there's a problem. We are already fitting into the matrix of colonial systems of power. So again, those are some of the elements. That's why you find that there is no inventors' discoveries from the continent. But the Africans are very ingenious in our own ways of using our local resources for survival, and that is not recognized. So anything that goes to Twitter has to be framed within the matrix of Zuckerberg, within the matrix of Belinda and Bill Gates, within the matrix of and there's a problem there. If you try to come up with your own innovation, either you are captured by the colonizers, either you are given a green card immediately, and they will use you. You will never get the worth of what you are developing. So these are some of the aspects that we've been into. But however, I'm not saying that artificial intelligence is wrong. It's bringing nuances that are transformative. But first of all, as indigenous persons, we need to understand where we fit in within the cultural range of dominance. Otherwise, if we just try to fit in and we don't understand how the systems operate, even when they, I can give you an example of the African Union, which was built by the outsiders, and all the networking systems of all the deliberations that would go on in the highest echelon of the African governance pillars in the African Union were not done by Africans. So it was all the information, the secrets, the dynamics, and the key decisions were siphoned, and then they were utilized by the outsiders. Then all we are given are handouts, and we feel good to say we need handouts, and yet we say we are contradicting ourselves because we are full of resources, but we don't even know how to, purify those resources.
Sure.
Our supply chain, there is a problem. Oil, we have the largest, pullers of oil on the continent, Angola, Nigeria, and, Egypt, but we all sell our oil as crude oil outside, then we buy it at a higher price. But we have universities, we have engineers, we have, everyone who can be innovative in these particular ideas. The other element is that as Africa ourselves, we create our own problems. We don't appreciate how our people are worth. That's why you find that we have taken the colonial systems of remuneration, that whoever works for you, we give them peanuts. So again, the idea is the governments who are on the continent today, everyone is crying because no government is paying their workers what they are worth. But you find that the leaders can have money to buy jets to fly outside. The hospitals are dilapidated, the education system is dilapidated, but they want to look for health aspects outside. So these are contradictions that we really need to think about when we talk about the colonial, matrix of power and how the transformative element of the digital world is coming into being.
Take your next step towards success and further your education with Africa University, a world-class center of excellence and a higher institution of choice for leadership development in Africa. We are a private Pan-African institution which is home to close to 30 African nationalities. We offer over 50 academic programs, from undergraduate studies to PhD programs. Enroll with us for the March and August intakes. Africa University, investing in Africa's future.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Pamela. I think we have learned a lot from your ideas, your perspective. So I think you agree with me that the adoption of artificial intelligence is a form of colonization. And then we can say that, yes, we cannot say that is all is we cannot take it in a negative way, but as African, we don't own anything. Those platforms we are paying for, even data, we don't have access to that, we must pay for that. So I can say that the colonialism is not earned, but is all over. Because according to what you are saying, everything we are depending, we are relying on the colonial, because we can say that the independence that we gain from them is just attempts and flags. And sometimes we can say black administration, but the colonialism is all over. So as African, what can be done for to decolonize in a proper way? In short, what can be done as African leaders or scholars? What can be done so that African can understand and to decolonize their mind and to rely on Africa?
I think the first thing is to deconstruct the whole system of how Africa was reconstructed. I appreciate some of the leaders are beginning to know that we need a borderless Africa. There is no reason why I should go to South Africa, to Nigeria, while going the visa. And I have just been visiting my colleagues. Secondly, we need to decolonize our education system. We need to appreciate the knowledge systems that come on the continent of Africa. If you go to other countries, we begin to, we need to recalibrate our curriculum so that it is aligned with the natural resources that are endowed on the continent. You do not need to start knowing about mining when you are in university. It is to start right from the beginning. In preschool, primary school, then people will begin to appreciate their environment and how they can utilize their environment. This is what Europe does. We need to appreciate how we can even develop computers that are, compatible with the weather system in Africa. And we need to teach our children how to bring about these innovative ideas and reward them. The reward factor is very, very critical. That's why you find that many people are running away from the continent of Africa. Everyone is getting educated for the other person, but the governments are paying for the education of the young people. So there is need to change our mindset, especially those the elders and those who are in power. The second element is also to appreciate of who we are. First of all, to know that our foods, and we need to popularize our foods, natural foods, which are very, very healthy, and even knowing the medicinal elements of the various plants. Many of the Europeans come to Africa to get herbs. I have seen pharmacies of Chinese herbal pharmacies only, but they get all the herbs from Africa, but we don't even appreciate. And we need to anchor on our elders' ancestral cultural heritage, which is so rich. We have so many elderly people in the community who know how these things were utilized. So we can frame our education system by connecting our education in the formal with the indigenous knowledge systems, so that we can also learn from the elders who are in the communities of how they utilize that land. Now, the artificial intelligence will just come in to see how we can do our work smartly, not breakbacking. That is where, for me, artificial intelligence should come in. We need to harness tools that will help to alleviate, to do our work with efficiency, with proficiency and productivity that will bring about better yields, but not eradicating everything and not recognizing the tangible, assets that we have on the continent of Africa.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pamela. I think I really appreciate your intervention, and we have learned a lot. So for me, as a student at Africa University, what I can say is, for us African, we have to promote African scholars. We have to promote our knowledge, because African is not a tabula rasa. When we say that there's no knowledge in Africa, we do have our knowledge. So African, we must know what happened to us. Previously, what we can take off, and then we have also to promote African languages, because it must create a barrier for us to develop. When you are thinking another language, it can be something which is tricky. But as African, let's promote African knowledge so that we can have a better African. And we have also to know that colonial is all over with us, so we have to learn and to promote.
Magadini Mose.
Olá a todos.
Bonjour.
Nagaiswa.
Goeiedag.
Salivonani lonke.
Mulibwanji.
Hello.
We are
Africa University.
To be leaders who are economically sound. Don't get educated to look for a job, but to create jobs. So that you will become a millionaire, a billionaire, not when you are gray hair. You need to be a millionaire by using your mind and your talents and competence when you are still young, so that you can enjoy. It's possible. It's possible. It's beginning to show signs of progress. But you need to be confident with yourself and appreciate your talents and not be subservient to any other person.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, Dr. Pamela. Have a blessed day.